All right. Hopefully this works.
All right. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I had you know how it is.
Yeah.
So I'm recording, by the way. I'm recording the Zoom as I do the
Yes,
intro.
sorry.
So our guest today, everybody, before we get going here is my pal, Dr. Dave Lorenz, PhD in travel and communication and all things good in Michigan. So and I had a technical issue with my software computers. It's never ending.
Oh, I just over the weekend, because I've been on the road the last couple of weeks.
I saw that on your social media, man. You've been everywhere.
Well, this was the first weekend. I'm sorry, the third weekend this year that I've been home all weekend, with the exception, well, no, third weekend this year I've been home all weekend. Now, some of those weekends away were like New Year's Eve weekend. My wife and I and my mom went out, but almost all of the others, with the exception of 1 week I was on a cruise, have been just for work. So I'm running out of juice right now. So I'm going on vacation in 3 weeks and I can't wait.
Good for you. Well, you got to get
cruise.
You got to get into the retirement zone, man. More and more people on the show are coming in. I had a trainer just graduated their master's, 31, 30 years old. And she must have mentioned retirement about 5 times during her conversation. It's like all these young people are retiring, everybody's retiring, man. Everybody's doing all this stuff. And it's like we're hitting on this thing. I had Tim Damon on, his show aired this weekend, and I called it the Lansing is the retirement zone, because that's where that's where it started. Well, it started in Holt, but it's Lansing is.
Yeah.
So it's all good, man. It's like, okay. And Mitch, our producer, he says, like, Tom, people are saying you're RFZ and retirement zone on their own. I'm like, well, yeah, Mitch, that's kind of the plan, and he's really happy about that. And he's made us better. That's for sure.
It's great. Well, Tim, Tim, what a great guy. Some people you can't emphasize what great people they are. He's one of them. He used to be here,
Who's that? Tim
Damon.
Oh, Tim Damon. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I thought you were talking about Mitch. Okay, yes,
no,
yeah.
I don't know Mitch, but when you mentioned Tim, just got me thinking.
He lives over in Muskegon.
Tim?
No, Mitch.
Oh,
Anderson.
Mitch. What's his last name?
Anderson. I'll have to hook you up with him. He is awesome.
What does he do?
He's a radio guy. He's a producer. He does this full time. This is his job. And he has a show over in Muskegon on air. He's an on air guy too. So,
well, I don't know my local media anymore,
Well, you're a world traveler, brother. All right, let me get
at least a state traveler.
All right, let's roll.
All right.
Burn it up. I don't even need to get the website up. Just glad I got my equipment to work, and let's see if it actually works, because I
know you sent questions, whatever.
No, it was just basically the hidden gems of Michigan, because this is number 25, bro. Number 25, 25th visit for you. So it's like, we've talked about everything. And when, is it Rochelle who sends over when Rochelle sends over the things, she's so efficient.
Yeah, and I know.
Love her. Rochelle, you watch this.
Got that.
Good for you. She's like, well, what's the topic? And Sandy's like,
whatever.
Exactly. People, I've told people on air, I said, you don't care about the behind the scenes stuff, but
you know why she asked that, even though she knows most of the time I don't care, because a Cranes interview was set up a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago or whatever. Yeah. And I figured we're going to talk about the campaign, because I met this young lady at the conference and we talked a lot about the campaign, where it comes from, my thoughts about, everything.
Campaign.
And so what I didn't know, when she called me, she starts asking me personal questions. So we're just chatting. I'm asking her, we're going back and forth for like a half an hour. And I say, hey man, I only have 15 minutes before I'm at my next meeting. So what do you want to talk about? She says, we're just about done. I said, what do you mean? She says, well, I'm writing about you. I said, oh. I said, well, a lot of that stuff I just told you is just kind of,
off the cuff.
Be careful. So I didn't know that. So since then I've been saying, hey, make sure you get an idea. But that story, the story looked horrible.
Oh,
the first half of it, before I knew what she was doing, It's
Yeah.
just me going back and forth. And you know, I'd start out with something, I'd go somewhere else,
Yeah.
but then I come back to it. The story looks like that. It's I look like I'm going a million miles an hour, which it looks horrible.
Oh, I'm
Talking
sorry.
about me, I was like, oh geez.
Well, you look like you're feeling better. So let's get
I am.
rolling. You got an hour for me?
Yep.
Good for you. All right, let's go. I don't want to be respectful of your time. All right, everybody, let's get this going here. Dave Lorenz is our guest today. I'm not recording on the radio content yet, but hidden gems of Michigan we're going to talk about, and this little intro clip that I'll cut out and put on the YouTube channel that you guys can check all this stuff out, because people like watching this behind the scenes stuff, which is totally fine, and watching me scramble trying to get my stuff to work. So it's all fun, man. It's all good. Here we go. Hopefully I hear my music. Hey, everybody. Last week, we had Leah Janelle Mitchell. Coach Leah Speaks. Just finished her master's. I was just telling our guest today about this young woman. She must have mentioned refiring and the refirement zone 5 times throughout our conversation. But Leah Janelle Mitchell is the daughter of a very good friend of mine from Michigan State University, and she's just an accomplished everything woman at her young age. And you want to check that out, because talk about knowledge when it comes to strength and conditioning. She was a professional ballerina, talked about all that, her injuries, and then, having to refire, and then through COVID, and then going back to graduate school, blah, 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 but people if you keep sharpening the saw and you keep going, you got a shot. And that's it in life. You just need a shot, and away we go. Like the guy I got today, my pals here. I'm glad I got my stuff working. Mr. Dave Lorenz. His bio is so old, it's older. It's almost as old as me. He's been on the show 25 times. Vice President, Travel Michigan. Is that still true, Dave?
Well, it's true that my bio is still old. Yes, I'm also VP. Yes, my bio is almost as old as me.
Well, here's the thing. I'm just going to say a couple of things, everybody, and then Dave can fill in the blanks. We've done this so many times. We have one thing we're going to talk about, and that's going to be the hidden gems of Michigan, which there is a plethora of those things. But my friend Dave Lorenz attended Western Michigan University, go Bronx, lives in Norton Shores with his wife, Roberta. How you doing, Roberta? Nice that you had Dave home for a weekend for once. According to this, prior to coming to Travel Michigan in 2002, you just like, we're all boomers here. Mr. Lorenz was the manager of partnerships and promotions for Meyer. And I'm sure he leverages a lot of his relationships with them, travels everywhere, goes everywhere, see his posts everywhere. The guy is one of the best representatives of the state of Michigan in our tourism industry, but it's a lot more than that. Anyways, enough of me talking. I want to hear Dave. Dave, how are you, buddy? Nice to have you back. And
I'm doing okay.
Let's talk Michigan.
My spring allergies are getting to me, but besides that, I'm doing fine. Been busy. This has been a very busy year for Pure Michigan. We've had the blessing of working with our biggest budget ever of $39 million. And that's allowed us to
I stopped you and interrupt you for just a moment, because we've been together long enough to talk about how that happened. How did you get the largest budget ever? And thank God you did. So how did that happen?
Yeah, I'm hoping we can at least get something close to that this coming year. Well, the work of Pure Michigan is known worldwide. So the folks here, this teeny little team we have in our Michigan Economic Development Corporation office, because Travel Michigan is the organization which I am the VP of, and we're a business unit of the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. So what we do is just part of the efforts of the MEDC to try to help the private sector be successful, build our economy, get people to work, get those tax revenues coming in so we can fix those darn roads and everything else that we want. So for many years, we've been working it, trying to encourage people to travel here. And for the last 17 years, the Pure Michigan brand has been out there on our behalf. And I'll have to tell you, it's worked well. We have been widely recognized around the industry as being one of the best tourism brands in the world, actually, but certainly in the country. And that doesn't come just by chance. It's not only because the great folks over at oh no, I can't remember, McCann Erickson, our former agency, who helped us create the brand. And now it's MMGY Global that is helping us continue the growth of the brand. Both of those agencies out of Detroit have just done a tremendous job on our behalf. But this little team we have here at the MEDC, both the folks that we typically call Travel Michigan staff, the people who work on the magazine and the e-newsletters and the beautiful videos that we do on the website and all the TV and radio and all that, working together with our other colleagues and the rest of the marketing team at the MEDC. We do a good job, I have to say. It's funny thing is, Tom, I always get the credit. And I quite literally know less about any of these things than most people. I'm just here kind of, spinning the plates, trying to keep things going. And I'm very proud of our team because we really have done a great job. And it's because of that over years, policymakers who quite often don't believe statistics that are brought before them, and I don't believe them. I don't blame them because, I don't believe some stats that come before me either. But they've come to know that when we review our work, we have a third party that does it. We don't primarily do it to show, hey, look what we did, give us more money. In fact, not at all. We're trying to learn how we can do a better job. So when we do that research, we don't just say, okay, for every dollar we spent, how much money did we bring back to state and local taxes, which was $11 last year, by the way, which is pretty good. One of the higher numbers we've had in years. We've
Say
gone
that
up and
again.
down.
For every dollar you spend, every
yeah.
dollar you invest, you receive $11 back.
Yeah. And last year, for every dollar that we spent, we brought a little over $11 back to the Treasury. But the thing is, that even those stats can be misunderstood. And so we use it as a grade of past performance, and we compare it to other grades of past performance. So, okay, it's going well. But what's more important to me, and this is, again, one of the reasons why we've received a good budget this year, and why I hope we do in the future. We look at the research to find out what we did right, what we did wrong, and how we can adjust for the future. And that's the thing. If you don't measure, it doesn't matter what you're trying to do, whatever your goal is. I'm a runner. And if I'm not checking that time every mile, I'm not checking my stats, I'm not challenging myself. And that's how you fail to perform in the future. And that's how you fail to perform at all. So we look at those insights that we get, and quite often they're not all flattering. And I'll tell you, it's hard to hear sometimes. People say, well, we think you need to promote the city experiences more often, or we don't think you're doing enough to demonstrate that the state is open to all and welcome to all, no matter your race, your age, whatever. So we take that research and those findings seriously, the good and the bad, and then we adjust to it for the next year. So I'm really excited about this year's campaign. It's called Keep It Fresh. And we're trying to get people to keep it all fresh. Go out there and find new places, discover new places, talk to new people you've never met before, as you also go out and see your friends and family. So it's because of that, getting back to the answer, that we've received this budget, and we are operating with $9 million of a $10.3 million EDA grant that we received. So that added to the $30 million state fund. So we have 39 this year. And I'm really proud to say that our team is also using $1 million of that grant for an accessibility grant co-op program with our destination marketing partners around the state. So we'll be launching this anytime, and it's going to allow our local community destination marketers, those people who do what we do at the state level, they're going to be able to apply for this, and then we'll help to pay for some of their accessibility features, maybe to make their website accessible, which means make it so that somebody who's blind can, quote unquote, read the website, or maybe they want to do an assessment. What do they need to do in their community to be totally welcoming to the disabled community? Things like that. So maybe they want to build out a ramp that's never been there because the community couldn't afford to put a ramp maybe on a downtown park stage, and they know they should have it, but they built it before ADA required it or something like that. And so we're going to help do some of that work. $1 million will go fast, but it's more of a demonstration of our desire to be accessible to all. So I'm proud about that, and everything else our team has done.
You do such a good job. And now I'm going to reset all of this. Dave Lorenz, Dr. Dave Lorenz, the professor of travel, the kingpin of spinning plates. Got to give a shout out to Rochelle for doing what she does, and thanking her for working with Sandy to get Dave, keeping him straight, because it takes a lot of teamwork, as he said, to pull all these things together. We're going to go to break, talk about the hidden gems. And I love the title of Keep It Fresh. My pal, Dave Lorenz, is with us. Love him so much. Hidden Gems of Michigan. Tom Matcha. So I figured out what got goofed up, and it's like, okay, so my music bed at the end of that segment must have got lost or something.
Stuck or something.
They're really soft.
I do want to talk about Rochelle a little bit, because it'll help make a point that I want to make too.
Okay. I got to read.
I'll just say, hey, you mentioned Rochelle. Let's do a shout out for her.
Yeah, I got it. I got her right here. Let me do this read for Craig.
Mhm. How much time for this segment?
About 9 minutes, and I do about a 2-minute intro. So you got about 7 minutes. So you got plenty.
And I'm ready with those hidden gems, whenever too, after we get through with this part.
Funny how that
Look at my eyes because of these allergies. You see the red?
Oh yeah. And your little picture on my computer is really small because I got this other thing going behind you. So
it's all puffy and really hurts.
Let's get going here. All right, here we go. Get down there. Your Ameriprise financial advisor, hopefully, and our Ameriprise financial advisor, Craig Stiles, can help you plan for the life you want today and well into the future. Full disclosure, we have all of our retirement zone, the RFZ, all of our savings with Ameriprise and Craig Stiles. And we're very, very happy to have that there. Did a little short YouTube video for him about a conversation I had with a professor at Michigan State about his anxiety, and you can go check that out on YouTube if you want. But Craig is just an excellent resource for us, and he can be an excellent resource for you as well. Here are a couple of numbers. Please check these out. You can always find them on our website, but his direct numbers are 517-483-4893. His email, craig.stiles@ampf.com. His 800 numbers, 1-800-528-1355. With the right financial advisor like a Craig Stiles from Ameriprise, life can be brilliant. His offices are located at 2400 Lake Lansing Road, Suite B as in Bism, Lansing, Michigan, 48912. And keep that in mind that if you want to use Craig and get into the Desideri analytics that he is his proprietary algorithm, you can do that. But if you're out of the area and you say you're in Traverse City or you're up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and you really want to get a hold of someone within the Ameriprise, network, just give him a shout, and he'll, email, he'll help you out. Just like Brock, Craig. These guys are really cool about helping people. I want to talk about some of the radio stations that are carrying us, have carried us, will carry us. Of course, WGHN 92.1 in Grand Haven, Michigan, where my friend Dave Lorenz listens to us every weekend. WGIM 1240 AM in Lansing, Michigan. WJRW 1340 AM in Grand Rapids carried us for a long time. WKLQ 1490 in Muskegon, Whitehall. WYPV FM 94.5 Mackinac City. And of course, our PBS affiliate at the Big Green Machine at Michigan State University, carrying us on Sundays at 5 is WKAR AM 870. Many other stations that carry our content all over the state on the Michigan Talk Network. And I want to thank Steve and Ivy Gruber for having the faith in us years ago to put us on the syndication, and away we go with all of that. Again, thank you, Craig Stiles, for sponsoring segment 2 of our show. We love him. We trust him, and you will as well. All right, back to my friend today. My guest is Dr. Dave Lorenz. I like calling him the doctor because like Dr. J, I mean, Dr. J wasn't a doctor, of course, but Dr. Lorenz, he's got a staff and he's got a crew and he's got a team, and he just manages. He's just a good manager, and they're being rewarded with good budgets, and they're out there to help us so that we can help our state. And that's why I love Dave so much. 25th visit to our radio program. Dave, we mentioned Rochelle before in the previous segment, and we ran out of time a little bit. Can you follow up with some of the things and kudos to her for what she does, because she's helped us so much.
Rochelle Kozlovka is my executive secretary. And, it's interesting. You mentioned I was at Meyer, and at Meyer, the culture was your administrative assistant was at a higher level than your secretary when you were in a management role. So I used to always call her my admin. And I remember one time she said, I'm your executive secretary. And I said, well, but I kind of feel like you also do administrative, work. She says, well, executive secretary is higher level here. I had no idea, so it's really interesting. When I became vice president almost 9 years ago, she said, I met her. Of course, I had known her before, but we talked about her becoming my executive secretary. And I said, Rochelle, I'm doing fine with my former secretary. If you want to stay doing what you're doing, that's up to you. She says, no, I'm doing this. I'm here to save your life. And I laughed, and she didn't crack a smile at all. And I thought, well, that's a little weird. So then we talked more. And then she said, listen, I know the schedule you're keeping right now. I know what we can do together. And I'm going to keep you on schedule, make sure you're not double booking. I used to double and triple book all the time by accident, so she's kept me alive, and she's kept me going, and she's made me so much more productive. What a great example of a partnership, because our little team, I told you we have a little team. So there's Rochelle and myself. There's Kelly Wilgamot, who handles our marketing. There's Nicole Lee, who does a whole bunch of stuff, but she's a writer for us. There's Amanda Munson, who does a million things, including producing our radio show. There's Robin Peebles, who does our e-newsletters and a bunch of other things as well. There's Ken Yarsevich and Bonnie Fink, who handle some partnership stuff. There's Maria Mendez, who handles all of our finance. And I'm sure I've forgotten somebody. But then we also have the rest of these MADC folks, Drew Mason and Kyle Gilmore, who do these wonderful videos that you see out there from Pure Michigan. Nick Nurbin, who helps with social media, digital media, and some of that video work. It just goes on and on and on. And I don't mean to forget anybody, because I haven't forgotten about them. They do so much, and we are a team. And I'll have to tell you, Tom, when I came here, coming from a team culture into government work, the first couple of weeks here, I thought, man, we're never going to bring this team together. They're a bunch of bureaucrats, civil servants, and I believed the old, stereotypes about civil servants. And then over time, not only did we become a team, but they proved to me that those stereotypes are so out of date. Maybe they never were accurate, but these are hard workers who care about what they do. They serve the public, and I'm really proud to work with them.
Well, what you're talking about are impressions and perceptions. And I had the same issue at the university when I was at Michigan State University. And you're very spot on with all of that. And I want to give a shout out back to Rochelle, because she is, excuse me, she's exactly the same situation as Sandy. When Sandy took over all of the schedule, when we first started this thing 12 years ago with this radio program, I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I mean, I was talking and having fun and finding stuff. And then you came along really early on. And so it's through all of the support that we get that we just, it's so invaluable. So kudos to the whole staff and anybody that we forgot. We love you all, and we appreciate you all, because we love our state of Michigan and the Midwest and our country, but especially the state of Michigan. And that's why Dave's here. All right. So let's talk about impressions, perceptions, keeping it fresh, and hidden gems of Michigan. Set this up. We're going to go to break here in just a minute. But go ahead and set this up for the rest of the show, my friend.
I will. So as we always say, your trip begins at michigan.org. And so I know a whole bunch of really cool places around the state because I get around so much. I'm out there all the time. But what I always say is, literally, if you're interested in a certain thing, go search it on michigan.org. So I put hidden gems. So here's what came up. I'll just give you the titles. 10 amazing hidden gems in Michigan worth the trek. 16 unique places and unusual things to do in Michigan. Hidden gems in the Central UP, a pure Michigan guide. Get back to nature in Escoda. Explore Houghton. It just goes on and on and on and on. So we'll go through some of these things in a little bit, all available to you on michigan.org.
I made that title up too, everybody. That's the way we roll here. And there you go. The doctor's in the house with Rochelle's support and the rest of the crew and the rest of the team. And we're all here to help you invest in your life and your family and your memories. That's why we do this stuff, because we want to just give you some tips and some ideas and some good thoughts about, because it's healthy. It's good to build these generational memories. Dave and I have talked about this many times. Again, resetting this thing, going to break. Dr. Dave Lorenz is here. Hidden Gems of Michigan. You got to stick around. Check this out. I'm Tom Matt. The Tom Matt Show. Beautiful. Let's rock.
Alrighty. What time is the next segment?
Same, about 9.5. 10. They're all about the same. Hey, by the way, your messages to your younger self, 5th segment thing that we do, the new thing I told you about. You got something just off the top of your head you want to talk about? Did I tell you? I told you about that.
I don't remember it. I'm sure you did.
Okay. Well, I'm going to throw it to you in the 5th segment. So this is kind of the way it works. It's like, it's kind of a spontaneous thing. If you had an opportunity to talk to your younger self, or if you frame it up as younger people.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
What would you like to, would you like to transfer? What would you like to give?
Yep.
And then I cut that out and I make that its own standalone video.
Oh, great. Yeah.
It's been really.
And I do have some thoughts on that. When I go and speak to students, I tell them these things all the time. Exactly. They always ask. It's one of the first things they ask.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, here we go. Perfect. Just want to remind you. Thank you. The simplest way to connect with us is via our website, tommattshow.com, where you'll find a completely updated, redesigned. It's looking sweet. I mean, Sandy has been putting a tremendous amount of energy in with our account executive and the design phase and new things. And just like Dave Lorenz, our guest today, is talking about, websites are very, very important. It takes a tremendous amount of just always checking things and making sure things aren't broken, because things get broke on the internet. Imagine that. Okay. Go there. That's where you can find our sponsors at the bottom of the page. Pure Michigan's there. You got Brock. You got Craig. You can go there. Our YouTube presence is growing. It's grown and it's just amazing. I mean, I'm doing my dad talks now and my messages to our younger selves. And it's so fun to do that. It's a little bit different than the radio show, much shorter, but that YouTube thing is going well. And then we got the radio program on its other channel. So we have the 2 channels there. Find all of it at our website. Our mission is to build an engaged society and team. We want to connect with all of you. So whichever social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, we're on all of them. Hit us up. We will respond to all messaging. The Refirement Zone, the RFZ, is about community collaboration and cooperation, the 3 C's of sharing stories and ideas, just like with my pal, Dave Lorenz, the doctor, the man with the best stories ever. I mean, he's done radio for his whole life. So, Dr. Dave, we're talking about Hidden Gems of Michigan. It's so much fun to have you back, and I thank you again for coming on and making the time for this, for our guests. For our listeners, impressions, keep it fresh. I love that tagline. Please.
Well, it's so important that, in life, and you've talked about this forever, that we don't allow ourselves to get kind of pigeonholed into what people expect of us. We have to go out there and challenge ourselves, and we have to go out there and challenge not only what we do, but maybe what we perceive. So part of keeping it fresh is deliberately going to places where people might appear to be different than us. We tend to live in pockets where, Christians here, Muslims there, most white people here, most black people there, whatever. And that's really unfortunate, but it is what it is. So, I have the great blessing of getting everywhere. And I'm quite often in a position where I am the only person who identifies as I do in that room. And, as a white older guy, that doesn't happen a lot to many of us in this, in how I identify, so to speak. So I think it's really refreshing. You always realize that, hey, we're all the same. We want a better life for our kids and grandkids. And you just want to get along. And so that's part of this. But we also want to challenge you to find new places that can open up your perspectives about nature or about city environments or about the various things you might be interested in, agriculture or architecture or whatever, because there's so much out there. If you just go and explore and open up your mind, open up your eyes, open up your ears. And as you talk to people, learn to listen, not just to hear, two very different things. And in doing so, you might understand and appreciate people just a little bit better.
I love the whole thought process of all of that and the open perspectives. So what are some of the, we've talked so many times about Michigan, traveling, all of the ice climbing, all of these adventures. And, you know me really, really well, Dave, and then you're a good friend. But what are some of the hidden gems that maybe go under the radar? As you just said in the previous segment, you just Googled it and came up with a couple of pages of hidden gems. But what are some of the off the road things we want to promote all over the state? Please, let's give our listeners some ideas.
It's funny you said under the radar, because just last week I was with the under the radar guys from the PBS TV show, and we were traveling the state doing various things. And Tom Dalden and I were going back and forth and saying, well, how many miles have you logged? Well, how many miles have you logged? So we get to a lot of different places. And on michigan.org, you'll occasionally find little clips of those under the radar guys on there. But if you search for hidden gems in pure Michigan, you'll find a story that says 10 amazing hidden gems in Michigan worth the trek. So some of these hidden gems aren't necessarily hidden gems in the purest ways. For instance, the first one we have on the list is Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore. Well, this is a very popular place to go, and especially during the last couple of years, people have been seeking out nature. But do you just go to those popular, like, little stopping points like Chapel Rock? Do you only go on that wonderful boat cruise that brings you across and seeing them, or the shipwreck cruise, or the fast, riptide cruise? Or might you consider trekking and going through the trails and going to some places like the beach trail at Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore? Get this, 100 miles of walking and hiking in this beautiful national treasure, this lakeshore. So that's just one of them. Here's another one. As I sit in my office in Lansing, and as I occasionally look out that window over the river, and I look at Old Town Lansing, and I realize that this mid-19th century town is flourishing today. Really cool restaurants, really cool antique shops, fantastic art galleries and shops, or you see the artists right there working when you visit. I love it. Don't miss out on Meat, MEAT, if you do like meat, because man, oh man, what a great place. Kind of Southern barbecue stuff.
Awesome.
Ozone's brew house is there. It just goes on and on. I love that place. And there was a time like 20 years ago when I don't think anybody would have gone to Lansing except, working for government and maybe going to the Capitol and maybe going to the historical center. But now Lansing and Old Town, awesome places to visit. Got the ballpark here. I mean, there are a lot of reasons, but I'll list that as a hidden gem. Here's another one. One of the least visited areas of the state is in what we call the Sunrise Coast. That is in the northeast part of the Lower Peninsula. There is the Ocqueoc Falls State Forest Campground. Ocqueoc, Ocqueoc, Ocqueoc Falls. The biggest waterfall in the Lower Peninsula. Not as big as you'll find in the UP for sure, but it's a pretty cool thing. About 40 miles down the Lake Huron shore from Sheboygan. It's really an awesome place. And when you go there, explore that whole corridor, go up and down. You'll also find a really awesome, I can't remember the name of it, but a really awesome little place by Lumberman's Monument. It's what do you call it? It's a spring, but not like you would think way up in the UP by Manistee, the big spring, Kitchity-Kippy, where it's a big lake. This spring comes out, the water just comes out of the hillside and then coalesces in certain places and comes down over this beautiful little, and they've got this wooden trail that goes all the way from up top all the way down. So if you look for the springs, you'll find it. It's awesome area. I love that Escoda area. Really cute little cabin type things. Like back in the day when you and I were kids, Tom, we could go up and down the Lake Michigan shore. We could find all these cabins right on the lake. Can't find many of them on Lake Michigan, but you can find them there in the Escoda area. really cool places like the Huron House, and there's so many other really neat, the Tiki, My Tiki, MAI Tiki, awesome little cabins right on the water. Awesome. Here's another one. There's a Frank Lloyd Wright house in Grand Rapids called the Meyer May House. Now I was in a conference in Grand Rapids about a month ago, and I have a tradition that a buddy of mine and I, that I only see once or twice a year. He's from Hawaii. He was at our conference, and he and I go for a hike after the conference. So I always block out 2 hours as soon as I can for the rest of the day. And we walked around Grand Rapids. Awesome antique homes there. You can find that one there. It goes on and on and on, Tom.
We're going to come back and talk about that because I want to hear more from Dr. Dave about the Frank Lloyd Wright house in Grand Rapids, all of these small pockets in our big communities. There are so many hidden gems in our state of Michigan. It is unbelievable. And we could talk about the whole Lake Huron shore for the whole show if we want to. Maybe we'll do that in the future. Dr. Dave's here, Dave Lorenz, 25th visit, Hidden Gems of Michigan. He is the man, the vice president of Travel Michigan, Michigan Economic Development Corporation. And we're glad to have him as our friend. And he is an excellent resource, and his team is an excellent resource for all of us. Again, Dave Lorenz, Tom Macho. I love listening to your stories, man. I gotta tell you real quick though. I was gonna jump in, but I can't interrupt you when you're talking. That would be rude. Although I'll try
to pause here and there.
Oh, no. That's fine because you do your thing, man. You know what you're doing. But the Meats restaurant, I didn't know anything about it, and we have a student that's helping us with some stuff, and she's been on the show. She just graduated from Michigan State, and she suggested going there. And we're not big meat people. No offense. We loved we're not vegetarians, but we really enjoyed it over there. It was so unique. And the whole area when you walk down through there, but I just wanted to relay that it was a
beautiful place
that turned me out to see. It's
Guy Fieri. We had Guy Fieri go there. He loved it.
Bet he did. I'll bet he did. All right, here we go. Another read and we'll jump in. 2 more segments. Where's my Brock stuff? Here we go.
How much time in this segment?
Another 10. Did you see my signal?
Yeah. Thanks.
Cool. All right, cool. That's a good thing about doing the video now. It's like I can do this stuff, and the video stuff's turning out pretty well. I mean, I'm getting better at the editing. So it's like,
yeah.
Here we go. Sponsor of the fourth segment of the Tom Ed Show is Brock Fletcher, selling team of Keller Williams Realty. And again, full disclosure, we use our sponsors. We have used our sponsors. We know our sponsors, and we love our sponsors. And that's why they're our sponsors, because I can say I have tremendous integrity in my soul to promote things that we use, that we believe in. So if anybody wants to come along and say, hey, whatever, I can say, listen, we use them. And so I hope you do as well. Brock Fletcher, the selling team of Keller Williams Realty. Brock's an investor, can either give you immediate cash offer for your home, which I've said a gajillion times, or said deadline. It's kind of a tagline for him. It never really happens, but it will if you need it to. And he'll set the price like he did for our transition when we refired, when we were getting ready to refire. We needed to start laying the groundwork for the future. That's why you need to have a Craig and a Brock to help you, because with the information, with all of these trusted sources, they can really make a huge difference in the outcome of what you're trying to accomplish. And that's what happened. And a good shout out to Mike Dedman. Mike, I didn't forget about you. Mike Dedman over there at the selling team, who was our buyer's agent for Little House Little House Lansing, where we're recording this episode today. And Brock was our seller's agent for Big House Holt. It's all good. So please go over there. His numbers. First one, this is the office number, 517-853-6408, 853-6408, kwsellingteam.com, kwsellingteam.com. But the super secret number that you really want to latch on to, everybody, the cell phone. Here we go. Text him, tell him he's heard it from Tommy. He'll know it came from radio, and it helps all of us 517-303-3262. That's 517-303-3262. Tell them you heard it. You're listening to Dr. Dave Lorenz with Tommy on the show. And, hey, we want to talk to you about the future. And who knows, he will just, if you've just got questions, you don't have to list with him. He's a cool guy, a really cool guy. And he'll help you out. His team is awesome, and they have helped us tremendously. And we appreciate their sponsorship very, very much. Hit me up, send me a note on the website again, tommattshow.com. You can find all of our sponsors and our friends on that homepage. That's been all redesigned. Okay. Dr. Dave's here. Dr. Dave Lorenz. Dave, I'd like to, if we could, please, you, at the close of the previous segment, you were talking about the Frank Lloyd Wright House in Grand Rapids, and you were sharing like some tiny gems, because today's episode we're titling Hidden Gems of Michigan. You shared some hidden gems of Lansing, and it's like the Meats Restaurant, great place. But the Frank Lloyd Wright House in Grand Rapids and some of the other things, Tim Damon was talking about some of these when he was on the show recently, because his daughter Abby lives over there now, and he's always over there a lot. And he's very, you guys all know all of the ins and outs of all of this economic development stuff. Let's talk about that, please. Let's share some more hidden gems.
Yeah, well, I'll finish on the Meyer May house because it's really interesting. It was commissioned by Meyer May. That was the fellow's name in 1908, I think. And I believe it's considered the most accurately depicted home of Wright. It was brought back to the exact design, reconditioned and such. So it's in the Heritage Hill area of Grand Rapids. And when you're walking around, you can see why they call it that.
Oh, yeah.
If you're around downtown Grand Rapids, any time of the year, but especially as we're coming into the summer, just walk around that beautiful area. It's one of the biggest, heritage sites in America where you can find all these really cool old, turn of the century, late 1800s, early 1900s homes. Really worthwhile. Now, here's another one. You'll be surprised by this. I bet you don't know about this one. This is Detroit's Little Venice. Do you know about Little Venice?
Not. You were right.
So the Detroit River narrows in a certain place and goes into some canals on the east side and actually through some neighborhoods there. Basically, locally, we call it, I consider myself a Detroit wannabe. So the Detroiters call it Little Venice because it does look like kind of that era. It's like a Prohibition era community. The Purple Gang helped to develop this. The Purple Gang basically worked with the Capone gang to move alcohol, whiskey, mostly from across the river in Detroit. They would come in by boat. They would go into these little canals area, and they would go into trucks. And then before you know it, they'd be driving over to Chicago and such. So today, it's a great place to go kayaking. And you can rent kayaks from a Riverside Kayak Connection, paddle all through that area, get a little feeling for the really cool history. The Fisher Mansion is there. A bunch of other really cool old buildings are there too. Here's another one. You've probably heard about Arcadia Dunes Golf Course. Awesome place. I've never golfed it because my skill level does not allow me to spend money in that way because I would be ripping that place up and it would be no good for either of us. But Arcadia Dunes, just a beautiful area over there in that kind of Benzie, Beulah region as you go toward Traverse City. It is truly beautiful. It's kind of a dune, partially forested area. It goes for like 15 miles or so, and you can enjoy that walkway there. And there are places, if you're going on the west side of the state, if you're going up US 31 and you passed Manistee, you see Little River Casino to the left. That's M22. Turn left right there. Turn left just beyond the casino, and then just follow that road. You'll go along the road. You'll see this viewpoint eventually to your left, right on the lake. Stop over that little viewpoint. You can walk up and you can see Sleeping Bear Dunes to the right as you look to the north, and you can see this beautiful shoreline. Part of that is the Arcadia Dunes. Beautiful, beautiful area. Here's another one. I mentioned Kitchity Kippy earlier. I don't know if I'd call it a hidden gem anymore. It's certainly a gem, not that hidden, but it's in the Manistee area. It is this awesome 200 foot across, 40 foot deep spring. It's Michigan's biggest spring. And you can go out there on a cable boat. You go out to the middle. It's not a glass bottom boat. It doesn't need it. You look down in the middle and you will see fish as big as you could believe. And you can see the water actually gurgling up the sand at the bottom. And the water will be this unbelievably beautiful greenish, fluorescent blues, golds. And the water is absolutely clear, but it's so clear. It's like a prism. It picks up all these colors of the sun. And it's within this little alcove covered by evergreens. So it's a very unique place. It is a spectacular place. The Native Americans felt it had spiritual connections. I certainly feel it does as well when I'm there. And man, it is truly something else. I can't even explain it.
Can you repeat where that is? Because that sounds incredible.
It's called Kitchity Kippy, the Big Spring. If you look up the Big Spring, it's near Manistee. The Native Americans called it the Mirror of Heaven. And it's a really accurate description. So that's cool. Do you have a little more time for just one or two more? I know we're running out of time.
And we got about a minute and a half to go. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Gilmore Car Museum, Hickory Corners, America's biggest auto museum. Did you know that? America's biggest auto museum in little old Hickory Corners, north of Kalamazoo near Gun Lake. It's spectacular. No time to go into it. Motawi Tile Works in Ann Arbor, another place you need to check out. Les Chenaux Islands, east of the Mackinac Bridge when you cross to go over the UP. Unbelievably cool place with all these little islands. They are archipelago islands. When the glaciers went through the last time, it was as though they stuck their fingers in the sand and they just pulled it across and left these long islands in there, popping up out of the water. Tremendous place for kayaking. Find a whole bunch of other things. You'll find a lot of Chris-Craft boats in that area. And that's all the time we have for right now.
Well, we've got a couple seconds left, and I just want to say that how would you get to those islands in 30 seconds? How do you get to those islands? Because that sounds is just greatness.
Yeah. If you go to Cedarville, so if you basically, when you cross the bridge, stay on 75, you'll see that, of course, that first exit to St. Ignace, but I think it might be the second exit, and it will say either Cedarville or it'll probably say Drummond Island, toward Drummond Island. Turn toward that. That will bring you right by Cedarville. Stop in Cedarville. Nice little restaurant, like a bunch of other little things there. Rent a kayak. Tremendous.
Perfect. Thank you, Dave, for following up on that one, because all of these, Sandy and I do our north route at least once a summer when we go to the house in Wisconsin. And so all of these little stops, and we do this because we really enjoy. We'll go to Traverse City, stay the night, take our time, cruise through all of these new areas. And that's one that I'm going to do for sure with my girly. Calling this one Hidden Gems of Michigan. Dr. Dave Lorenz is with us. Keep it fresh. I love that new tagline with Pure Michigan. Pure Michigan's the best. I mean, all of these, building these memories, everybody, it's so good for your health. It's so good for your family, and memory building is the best. Again, Dave Lorenz, it's a Tom Mann Show. All right, my brother, we're going to do the messages here after we do this read and your, all of your plug. So,
and then we do the,
we'll do the message. Yeah. I'll lead you into the messages thing so I can find it. And when I cut it,
I got it. Yeah. How much time are we going to have?
About 10 minutes and we're out. So we're 9:12. So we'll get you out of here. 9:13. You're meeting at 9:30.
That's all right.
Cool.
Rochelle put an extra 15 minutes in for me.
I always send an extra 15 minutes on the calendar. So tell her thank you. I mean, I hope she enjoys her plugs and the team's plugs, because we really appreciate everything they do. And that's absolutely sincere for sure.
Hey, make sure to send me a link so we can add this to our e-newsletter.
I've got a new process now, Dave, that I started in January with, because of all the links and the Instagram and the social media stuff. And there's so many little clips all over that, with the video clips and then the full audio, edited audio stuff, whatever people, I try to give people whatever they want so they can pick and choose. And if they want to just I do an excerpt, like a 3-minute excerpt of the show, put that on Instagram. So if you look at when you see your show on our YouTube channel, you're going to see like 4 different entries, like the beginning, the end, the whole show, the speaker view, the gallery view. So I see whatever people want. I mean, and people
Right.
are watching. It's like,
Yeah.
it blows my mind. Craig
Yeah.
Stiles' show dropped this weekend, the full show, unedited. He's got, I don't know, 100 views already. It's an hour and a half long. It's like, okay, great. That's the point. So here we go. If you're a nonprofit, school or church, youth group, and you need to spice it up with some, I don't know, a little action, speaking engagement, bring some experts in, and you want to sell some tickets, we're here to help you. Send us a note, www.tommattshow.com. That's our website. You know that. Go to the contact box. We are accepting applications for these pro bono speaking engagements, and I'll try to arrange to have perhaps a Craig Stiles, perhaps a Dr. Dave Lorenz, Brock Fletcher, some of our remote guests. We have guests, that are all over the country, of course. And so whatever it is that you need, we want to be there to help you, because we're all about the 3 C's of community, collaboration, and cooperation in the state of Michigan and all over. Again, now these are pro bono. So if you want to pay us to do these gigs, that's fine. We will, we'll accept money, but that's not the purpose of this, this announcement, this public service announcement. So hit us up and let us know what you need. And I'll be happy to at least maybe even connect you with some other people, because I love connecting, especially young people, with industry leaders like a Dave Lorenz, and so that they can get just an introduction to their next part of their life. It's very, very important for us to reach out, reach back, reach forward, and pay it forward. Dr. Dave, how do you want people to find you? Where you want to go with all this? Please go right ahead.
Well, as Tim Ellen and now Jessica Kerr Moore as our second voice for the campaign always say, your trip begins at michigan.org. And of course, you can follow us on all the social media. We're all over the place, from Twitter to Facebook to Pinterest, and you name it, even a little TikTok here and there. Just search for Pure Michigan. You'll find us somewhere.
Good for you. All right, everybody. Dr. Dave is here. And again, the new thing in the 5th segment is the messages to my younger self. It's become its own little living entity in my guests. I'm doing my dad talk on YouTube. I'm doing a few more of my messages, doing more of my dad talks now, but it's more for my guests, because it's a variety of different, just thoughts and things that you'd like to transfer back, either tell your younger self or telling younger people some of the experiences and some of the missteps that we make it. We're just trying to help you out. We're just trying to help a brother out here.
Yeah. My son's getting married soon at 32. So we've been saying, come on, get this thing moving along. He's been committed to this beautiful young lady for 10 years. And so they're finally doing it. And it got me thinking that I've really probably talked more to students in my career about advice than I have my own son. So I'm putting together kind of a list of, these are things that I hope he can take into consideration and pass on to his children, I hope, down the road. So I've been thinking about this a lot. And so some of the things I've thought of are that, never discount your failures and your challenges, because I think you can learn more from challenges and failures than you can from successes and wins. And so take them all in. They're never easy to go through, but learn from them, turn them into positives through learning. Another thing I try to remind people of, and this is something I was told from a radio legend of mine. I grew up in Muskegon. I used to listen to WTRU and Stanley J. Wallace. Wake up, everybody, booby. He would make all these really weird things. And, that was, we're talking the 60s and 70s, so he was my hero. And then when I finally worked there, he was about at retirement. And I said, Stanley, any advice for a young college kid? And he said, well, I'll tell you one thing, just take it slow. Take it slow, take your time. Don't feel like you've got to jump right out of school, right out of college, whatever it is, and just become who you want to be. And I've kind of added to that advice over the years, because I, like everybody else, was interested in making as much money as I could as a young person. But I was lucky enough to have to leave college early. Strange thing to say, but I left I haven't taken all my majors, double minor, strange. I don't know how that happened. And all I had to take was a few more general ed courses. And I left because I was literally hungry. I was tired of being sick and tired, and I was hungry, and I didn't have any money, and I just needed, and I had built up a $10,000 school debt, which to me back then, I think that probably was the equivalent of 100,000 today, with inflation. So I took this job, and I was lucky enough to have a boss who could be a mentor. So I have then, over the years, I bumped into so many mentors as early as my high school days. A fellow by the name of Roger Scudder, my speech teacher, who failed me in speech. And he forced me to confront my fears of public speaking, got me involved in a little radio and TV program, ended up being my life. And I can't thank him enough. So, remember that you need to find people who you feel can be mentors, especially when you're starting out your career, rather than just making money. You can make money later, but learn. You've gone to school, you've only learned so much. You may be a lot smarter than me, and you probably are, but I'm a lot more experienced. So learn from an old person like me, like you, Tom, and try to find those people along the path. And if you're lucky to find a Roger Scudder, you're very lucky. I had the opportunity earlier this year to go talk to him for the first time in 40 years, just to say thanks. And that's another thing. Remember the people who you meet along your path. Remember them forever, and never let them out of your mind. Always remember to thank them at some point, because it might mean something to them as well, because they've meant so much to you. So those are just a few of the things I like to recommend to kids when I talk to them in school. And I'm going to put this in a little, I don't know if I call it book, but I'm going to put it in a little piece that I'm going to share with my son on wedding day.
That's so great. And I appreciate you sharing that. That's why we do this piece of the show now, messages to my younger self. Everybody has a different perspective. And what you just said about thanking your mentors, finding the mentors, connecting with people, especially nowadays, everybody, with our kids are having a tough time with communication skills, interpersonal relationships. And the way that we help them and nurture them and not criticize them is by just listening to them and then offering advice if they ask for it. Don't offer unsolicited. I just did a dad talk about this. Don't offer unsolicited advice. Basically, what our kids want from us and the young people want from us, Dave, is to be listened to and acknowledged and respected. And if we can do that, we got a shot with them. So.
Well, that's the other thing. I talked about how young people need to learn from us. Well, we need to learn from them because they are super smart. These young kids, I go to talk to school kids as young as fourth graders. I am amazed at how smart they are and how much wisdom these little kids have. So we can learn a lot from them as well. And then I guess the last thing I would just remind everybody about is, especially when you're in a position like mine, I get all the credit for what we do. I also get the arrows occasionally, but I get all the credit. And I can't thank my team enough, because they make our Pure Michigan group very successful. So as you remember your mentors, never forget those people who surround you and make you who you are, because you're better off for it.
The voice you're hearing is Dr. Dave Lorenz. It's the messages to our younger self, and I thank you for that. Dave, what's our takeaway for today's episode? Your 25th visit to our show. Kind of crazy to say that. 25 times you've been with us. What's your takeaway today, my man?
The takeaway is never forget that you need to keep it fresh. You need to think about new things. You need to consider going to new places, meeting new people, consider their perspectives in life and not just your own, that you should listen and not just hear to others. And maybe we'll be able to appreciate one another just a little bit more than we do right now. Remember to thank those who you meet along your path, and to never forget those mentors who made you the person that you are. Last thing is, we all fail, we all make mistakes. Admit them, learn from them, and move forward without guilt. And forgive yourself occasionally, and become all you can be.
So wonderful. All right. We still got a couple minutes to go here, Dave, and I give you a little bit more time to talk about one thing I'd like to ask you about is your hometown of Norton Shores and Muskegon. We didn't really give in the Grand Haven area, we're carried on WGHN 92.1, which we love them so much. As we wrap the show, why don't you just throw a little bit of love that way? Because you got some really, the summertime in Muskegon, Grand Haven, South Haven, the whole west side of Michigan, the southern part. Please talk about that for a second, please.
Yeah, I was just in Holland and South Haven last week and just being reminded what really great towns they are. But for almost 22 years, I've been driving from Norton Shores to Lansing, Michigan, 102.4 miles one way, not that I've counted. But I know every little tree and shrub along the way on that path. And there's a reason why I've taken that drive. I love Lansing. Let's make this clear. I think it's a great town. I love being here at lunch hour and being able to run the river trail and occasionally go out to lunch and all the people you meet along the way, this kind of refreshing, youth-filled and interesting town with all the politicians that are here as well. But there's something special about the lakeshore. I'm called by the water. So when we built our little log home there almost 39 years ago, there was a reason why we did that. It's just so cool. You need to check it out. Check out downtown Muskegon. Go to Grand Haven. And yes, go to places like PJ Hawkmaster State Park. Closed a bit this summer because they're working on it. But check out the area. Lake Harbor Park will get you there as well.
Always remember, before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. Travel Michigan. Just do some traveling around our state. Tell your friends about it. Explore. Create memories. Intergenerational memories are the best. Dave, thanks for being with us, brother. Nice to talk to you.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks again to Dave Lorenz, Sandy Mack, Craig Stiles, Brock Fletcher, Samantha Medved, Alyssa Guadani. I'm going to say hello to her, talk to her this weekend. And of course, the man who puts it all together, Mitch Anderson. Talk to you next weekend, everybody. Have a great week. Check out our website, tommattshow.com. We love you all, and we appreciate you so much. Tom Matt Show is a production of Boomers Rock Media. We want to bring your story to life. Thank you so much for listening, and Travel Michigan. We're out.
Hey, thank you, Tom.
Pleasure, Dave. Thank you so much. I'll be in touch.
All right.
See you, man.
Until next time.
Sir. Okay.
See
Have
ya.
a great day. Thank you. Let me tell you guys something. Dave Lorenz is just incredible. I mean, he's an awesome guy who I love so much. He helped us when this fledgling little radio show was doing. I mean, I didn't really know what I was doing. And this guy is like this big radio hero on WJR, and he's just a huge guy. And it's just so awesome to have him as a friend, and all the stories that he shares with us. And Pure Michigan's the bomb. I mean, just the best. So thanks again to Dave Lorenz. Thank you all for listening and watching and doing what you do. Send me notes, like, subscribe, do all those things. We appreciate you. Thank you. We're out.